Welcome back to School Quiz students. I'm your biology teacher Swati, and in today's lecture, the topic which we are going to deal with is the fundamental unit of life. This portion is there in class 9 syllabus, and up till this portion, we have seen that what actually the cell is, the definition of the cell theory, what all are the postulates which are included in the cell theory, the type of organisms, the type of cells, and in today's lecture, we are going to see what are the major differences between animal cells and plant cells. But before moving to that portion, let's just revise it up what all we have studied in now. So cell basically is the structural and functional unit of organism, and it is a dynamic place. And cell basically is made up of various types of biomolecules such as proteins, carbohydrates, fats, and lipids are there in the cell. And the cell was discovered by Robert Hooke after the invention of microscope. And he observed the cells in the cork cell which were taken from the plant. And on the basis of shape and size, the cells can be of like oval shape, spherical, rectangular, spindle shaped, or like irregular shape can also be there. And if we talk about size, so they can be microscopic in size like RBC to the fairly large size like nerve cells also. The importance of this shape and size we are going to see when we will see the differences between plant cell and animal cell, that how there is a difference in the size between all the various type of cells which are present. Next is the kind of functions which are performed by different cells, and because of that also their shape matters a lot. And if like because of certain environmental conditions also the shape and size of the cell is affected, and because of that the functions of the cells are also hampered. So all those things will be seen. Then comes the cell theory, which was given by Skelton, Scaven, and Virchow. After that, we have seen that there are various types of organisms, like unicellular organisms are there, in which amoeba, paramecium, and bacteria are there. Then comes multicellular organism, in which plants, humans, and animal cells are basically classified. Next, we have the types of cell on basis of prokaryotic and eukaryotic cell. So here you can see this is the diagram of prokaryotic cell, and the archaebacteria, bacteria, blue green algae, all those come under the category of prokaryotes only. Next comes eukaryotic cell, in which almost all living organisms are classified except for bacteria and blue green algae. Now, from here we are going to start major differences between plant cell and animal cell. As I told you that the shape and sizes of the cells are different and they have some role to play also. So here you can see the size of animal cell is just in the range of 10 to 30 micrometers in length, whereas if we talk about plant cell, it lies in the range of 10 to 100 micrometers in length. The shape of animal cell basically is round or irregular in shape, whereas if we talk about plant cells, so it is typically rectangular or cubic in shape. So in short, we can say that the plant cells are more organized in terms of their shape and structure. And now the question arises, what actually is the component which is playing the role in maintaining this structure and shape of the plant cell? So here comes the role of cell wall, which provides a structure and strength to the plant cell, which is basically absent in animal cell. Then the type of parts which are there in animal cell can be cilia, which is basically used for the movement and locomotion of the animal cells, because of which it can move from one cell to another, one place to another place. Then comes vacuoles, cell membrane is there, centrioles are present, which have role during the process of further cell division and further processes. Then are the lysosomes, which are known as the suicidal bag of the cell. Where if we talk about plant cells, so there is vacuole is present in plant cells also. Cell membrane is also common between plant cell and animal cell. Chloroplast is present in plant cell, and the chloroplast is only the organelle in which the photosynthesis basically take place, the process by the help of which plant will make their. Then we have lysosomes, which are common, and plasmodesmata is also there. So plasmodesmata basically are used for making the connection between the adjacent cell. Suppose if we are having two plant cells, so if we want to have like the passage of certain substances from one cell to another, or if we want to have a connection between two cells, so that connection basically can be formed with the help of this plasmodesmata. Okay, so these are the major differences which are there between plant cell and animal cell. Further, we can say that there are the different differences between plant cell and animal cell. Firstly, if we talk about cell shape, so plant cell are square or rectangular in shape. Animal cells are irregular or round in shape. Cell wall is present in case of plant cell. It is absent in case of animal cell. Cell membrane or plasma membrane is present in plant cell, where like cell membrane and plasma membrane is present in both. Like whether if we talk about plant cell and animal cell, and the nature of this plasma membrane or cell membrane basically is semi-permeable, which means that only selective materials can be able to pass through that inside the cell, and like it have that role to play. Okay? Next, we have endoplasmic reticulum. Endoplasmic reticulum is present in both the cases. If we talk about nucleus, so nucleus is present in both, but in case of plant cell, it lies on one side of the cell. It is not present in center. Whereas if we talk about animal cell, the nucleus is present, and that too lies in the center of the cell. Because in animal cell, mostly all of the processes like replication, and then the production of ribosomes, and then its translation into proteins, all those processes take place inside cell only, and like mainly the replication take place inside nucleus only. So it have a central role to play in the case of animal cells. Now comes lysosomes. Lysosomes are present in both the cases, but if we talk about number, so the number is very less in case of plant cells. Very few lysosomes are found, whereas in animal cells there are an abundant number of lysosomes are found, and they have a role to play as in suicidal bags. Next, if we talk about centrosomes, so centrosomes are absent in case of plant cell, whereas they are present in the case of animal cells. If we talk about Golgi apparatus, so Golgi apparatus basically is present in both the cases, which is used for protein sorting and transportation process. Then we have cytoplasm. So cytoplasm basically is present inside both the cells. And then comes ribosome. Ribosome is also present in both the cells, but the size of the ribosomal unit can vary in plant cell and animal cells, as we have seen in the case of eukaryote and prokaryote. Also, that in case of prokaryote, 70S ribosome is present, whereas if we talk about animal cells, 80S ribosome basically is present. So these are the differences if we talk about ribosome. Then comes plastids. So plastids are present in case of plant cell, whereas they are absent in the case of animals. Plastids basically are responsible for various colors and variety of beautiful flowers and pigments which are present in the plant. They all are because of this plastid which is present in plants. Then if we talk about vacuole, so vacuoles are very large in plant cell, but they are very few in the cell. Or a single centrally positioned vacuole is only present in plant cell. But if we talk about animal cell, usually they are small and numerous vacuoles are. If we talk about cilia, so cilia is absent in case of plant cell, as we know that there is no requirement for movement in case of plant cell. But if we talk about animal cell, there are a lot of cilia present in animal cell which are necessary for the locomotion and movement process of the animal cells. If we talk about mitochondria, which is the powerhouse of the cell and is required for the production of ATP generation, it is present in plant cell, but it is very few in number. But if we talk about animal cell, it is present and they are numerous in process, because we know the organization of animal cell is quite complex if we compare it to plant cell. So more amount of energy is required, and various type of complex processes basically take place inside the human, and like animals and humans and higher species. So because of that, the number of mitochondria is more in case of animal cells. Then next comes the mode of nutrition. So mode of nutrition basically is the way in which those particular species obtain its food. So if we talk about plants, the plants basically take in the make their food by the process of photosynthesis. So plants don't require any other organism to obtain its food. So basically plant cells are autotroph. Auto means self and trophs with making the food. So plant make their own food by the process of photosynthesis in presence of sunlight. Whereas if we talk about heterotrophs like humans or animals, they basically are dependent on autotrophs, or we can say are dependent on plants for obtaining their nutritional requirement. So they are heterotroph. Hetero means other and trophs means food. So they basically are dependent on others for the requirement of their food intake and other processes. And in as we have seen that in food chain or food web also, food chain we have like sun is there. So from sun plant make their food, and from plant like heterotrophs will obtain their food, and from that other species will obtain food. So in that way the transfer of energy is done from one level to another, and from moving from one level to another level, the 10% of energy is lost at each of the steps. So in that way, we have seen that what all are the major differences between plant cell and animal cells. So, and student, let me tell you, this is very, very important portion, because many times in your exam, directly they will ask you to like write differences between plant cell and animal cells. So it is very necessary to remember each and every of the differences, and many times you are also required to draw the diagrams of plant cell and animal cell. So basically for this fundamental unit chapter, the diagrams are very, very important. Like if we talk about prokaryotic cell and eukaryotic cell, plant cell, animal cell, these diagrams are very, very important. So you should keep on practicing them, and I will suggest you to make the diagrams and label them properly, and there only you should write the function of each and every part so that you can remember it. That's all for today's video, students. Happy learning. Stay blessed. Bye bye, students. Thank you.